Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about how you can move to Mexico and take advantage of a tax regime that allows you to pay only 2.5% or less tax. It's technically 1 to 2.5% depending on how much you're making. And I'm going to explain to you the details of what you need to know about being able to benefit from that and what you should avoid, because there are some pitfalls that if you kind of mess that up, you can end up being screwed up. So definitely stick around. We're going to go through all the details there. If you're interested in following along, we have a guide, which is about 10 different places that you can move where you can live a higher quality of life while saving a fortune. And so it's a nice combination. There's a link in the description below that you can go and click. It's a free download. So go and feel free to grab that. And then you can follow along as I'm going through this video, but also go through, there's like another 9 different places or something like that that we cover, that we talk about some of the tax benefits of those places. We talk a little bit about some of the things in terms of the types of places you might like to live there, a little bit of the residency programs, etc. So I'm going to cover videos on each of those, but for now we're talking about Mexico. So let's dive in and talk about them. Okay, so this is called the RESICO program. It is, in English, would sometimes be called the Simple Trust Regime, and it applies in particular for people who are independent contractors. Okay, so notably, if you're like a full-time salaried employee, then generally you can't take advantage of this. Maybe you can kind of like get your employer to structure you that way. I'll talk a bit more about details about that in a second. As well as if you are talking about running a business, this is not for like a local business or something like that. This is not for dividend income. This is not for interest income, etc. Okay, so that's like who this is for. Now, just quickly, you could be somebody who works for a foreign company. You could have only one client, or you could have a bunch of clients. Either of those things are fine, okay? You could have this for a Mexican employer, also totally fine. The key here is you need to invoice them. If you're in a situation, in particular, if they're a Mexican employer, if they're a foreign employer, they typically won't pay so much attention to this. But if they are a Mexican employer and you have only one employer in this particular case, or one client, I guess we would call, because you're going to be invoicing them, that's part of the requirements here, then they may pay attention to if the employer can control your hours, control how you work, etc. And you could potentially lose that status. So just be aware. It's usually advisable to put together an employment agreement that kind of specifies that you sort of control your own time and how you do things, etc., and have that accordingly. If you're going to have a single employer, whether they're foreign or domestic, if you have a bunch and they're foreign, then usually that's okay. It's important that you're able to invoice. You're going to need to provide that as documentation. In order to qualify for this, so I was mentioning, it is 1 to 2.5%. It's sort of a graduated tax rate that depends on the income. The peak income, the maximum income you can earn, is 3.5 million pesos per year. Okay, so as of the time I'm making this video, that's approximately 175,000 US dollars, which is like pretty decent, right? If you are from the US and you come down and live in Mexico, maybe you're saving money on your cost of living, plus you maybe have, a better quality of life. Maybe you're really happy to be around an expat group of people. You're enjoying great weather, et cetera, et cetera. In addition to that, the US has this foreign earned income exclusion. And so through that foreign earned income exclusion, you could be in a situation where you could get, on the US side, 130,000 approximately tax-free per year. So, not only are you paying very low taxes on the Mexican side, you're paying very low taxes on the US side, and this might be great. If you're not from the US, you don't have to worry about citizenship-based tax, then you just have to worry about the Mexican side. Let's be clear, 1 to 2.5% is better than you can get almost anywhere in the world. And this is like clean. You don't need fancy international structures. You don't need any of that sort of stuff. I will talk later on in the video about what to do if you are in a situation where you make more money, where you do have a business that's running and things like this, or you're in a situation where your type of income does not qualify accordingly. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But for now, just note this part here. Okay. Now, notably, in order to qualify for this, so you need a CURP, which is kind of a local number that you get when you get residency in Mexico. And that will tie into getting a tax number. Okay, you're going to have these, great. You have to file and pay monthly. Okay, very important. Every month, you will pay based on the amount of money actually received. Now, clarification here that is worth noting. This is paid off your gross, okay? So it's not, you don't get deductions from it. If you're going to have deductions, you should kind of flow that through another company, and there's some other things you can do. If you're interested in those types of things, then you should book a call with me. You can reach out, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or send a message through offshorecitizen.net. It's info@offshorecitizen.net. You can email us, and we'll go and kind of deal with your situation specifically. But otherwise, you should be in a situation where you say, okay, great. I'm just like an independent contractor. I'm, maybe you're a web developer or, a coder or something like that. You're working for your clients. You're getting paid. Cool. Great. You're going to have to invoice them. You're not going to get any deductions from this. You're going to pay tax on the full gross amount, but it is the amount that's actually received, not the amount that is invoiced. So it's based on a cash basis as opposed to an accrual basis. And so that's great. Additionally, you need to file your annual return by April each year. Now, I'm bringing this up for a really important point. So if you exceed this 3.5 million pesos per year, then you no longer get to benefit from this regime. All right, fair enough. That is what it is. It's capped at that. If you come back below it, then you can enter that program. Okay, you can start again paying at these rates. Now, if, however, you don't file, like you don't fulfill your obligations in accordance with this regime and you lose it, then you can't get it back, okay? So really, really important that you maintain the standards of this particular program. It is noteworthy there is technically this program for companies up to 35 million pesos, but not with this low tax rate. So it's mostly not worth doing. Generally speaking, in most situations, I would advise people not to have a Mexican company. Mexican companies are fairly high tax, very high bureaucracy. Generally not the best place to go. Again, if you're interested in forming companies, you want to know where to set up a company, please reach out to us. We can, both help you forming a company, so happy to do that for you, but also help advise you on where is the best place to get set up, okay? Now, other than that, like it's designed to be simplified, right? So it's quite straightforward and fits well within the tax regime within Mexico. If you're in a situation where it doesn't apply to you, which is like a fair number of people, right? There are a fair number of people, maybe you make $500,000 a year, maybe you make $2 million a year, etc. A few things you should know about Mexico. Number one, Mexico is a high tax country where most people don't pay any taxes. Can't advise you to do that, of course. That's, not legitimate, but that is kind of the reality. So you will probably run into people who will say, oh, I just don't file taxes. This is true. And most of the time, they will never hear from anybody. So, okay, is what it is. Legally, though, the Mexican tax system is fairly high tax and actually has pretty difficult to work around rules. So this is referring to their corporate residency rules, their CFC rules, etc. The way to work around those is with foreign companies in foreign trusts. There's some nuances to how that has to get set up. I'm not going to cover it in this video, but again, feel free to contact us if you'd like to go through the details there. And in that case, you can have a deferral strategy. So essentially you can have foreign money and foreign companies. There's no tax there until you take money personally. And, you can combine, mix and match some of these strategies to make them work as it is going to kind of best fit in your situation. And that would also be true. Let's say that you're in a situation where you had an e-commerce business or something like that. And so maybe your net profit isn't that different than the $175,000 or, at least what you're going to pay yourself is not that different. But, you have the cost of inventory, maybe you're paying for advertising, et cetera, et cetera. So you have quite a few expenses. And so this doesn't fit perfectly well for you. Well, then doing one of these kind of mixed matched structures might be an option for you, just depending on what your cost structure looks like. So yeah, if you're interested in that, please let us know. As I said, we have this guide, so feel free to download it and check out a bunch of the other countries. I will go through with some other videos talking as well about kind of residency, etc. But you can kind of get a general overview for yourself to see if one of these places is a place you'd like to go. And if you'd like help with anything else, put it in the comments below or send us a message, and I will see you on the next video.